Thank you, Lascan Corla. And Minister, I'm glad to see you here this evening, because you and I have discussed this, and indeed Minister Noonan, who's leaving, we have discussed this on a number of occasions. And I'm really hoping that tonight we can finally get confirmation of the promise that you made when you visited Drumcairn last November. You met farmers, stakeholders, landowners, local politicians, etc. And that promise was that you would deliver some type of compensation package. So I'm hoping that tonight we'll be told that that compensation package is in place and that it will be delivered immediately. You and I know this has gone on for too long, way too long. The landslide at Shass Mountain happened 27 months ago, almost, June 2020. And I do want to say, Minister, while I recognise and appreciate, as do the landowners, the fact that you ensured that cap payments were paid in that intervening period, and that was hugely important, nonetheless, they're waiting far too long for the package of compensation. Now, we're speaking here of more than 20 farmers and about 8 foresters that were very adversely affected by the damage from this landslide. Their patience has been sorely tested. And when I raised the matter last June in the Dáil, that was the last time I raised it here, I made the point that maybe if they'd marched, maybe if they'd blocked roads, maybe if they'd caused disruption, then maybe it might have been resolved sooner. But they took you at your word, Minister, and so did I, and I'm hoping that will be honoured here this evening. I'm not going to take up my 4 minutes. I've rehearsed these arguments too many times, but I just want to put on record again the fact that Leitrim County Council did such good work. They pulled out all the stops, they mitigated as much of the damage as they could, and Minister Noonan, who has just left, through his chairing of the multi-agency group, kept farmers, landowners, various government departments, local and national politicians, kept them all in the loop. So good work has been done, Minister, but there's still a huge piece in the middle of that jigsaw that's missing, and I sincerely hope that piece is in your hand right now.
Thanks, Lascan Corla, and thank you, Deputy Harkin, for raising this important issue in the Dáil this evening. I want to recognise the work that you've done on this issue over the last while, and it is an issue which I'm working on to address, and I want to bring peace of mind as quickly as possible now to the landowners in the area. As you referenced, I visited those affected by the landslide last November, along with yourself and Minister of State Fian and Deputy McSharry and Deputy Kenny, and I know it's something that Councillors Paddy O'Rourke and Councillors Mary Bohan have taken a strong interest as well, and both myself and Minister Noonan visited together that day, Minister of State Malcolm Noonan, because we recognise the stress that has been there in families and the importance of bringing a resolution to it. I had hoped to have it concluded by now, and you're right, it has gone on too long, and I hope to conclude it and bring it to a resolution very soon. As you know, the landslide occurred on Shass Mountain, close to the village of Drumcairn, on the 28th of June 2020, and it followed heavy rain, resulting in an area of blanket bog and adjacent forestry moving downhill with liquefied peat, vegetation and trees. Some of the landslide material was held at the Dawn of Hope Bridge, close to the origin of the landslide. However, a quantity of material overflowed the bridge and made its way approximately 7 kilometres downstream, eventually spreading out and settling on areas of farm and forestry in several town lands. There were sporadic deposits of peat and other debris subsequently, with the heaviest deposits occurring in the townlands of Concormac, Derrendangan and Kirchill Lower. The agriculture area affected by the landslide has been mapped by my department using a combination of satellite imagery data for the period in question, together with detailed GPS data collected from surveys conducted on the ground in July and August of 2020. The total agricultural area affected by the overspill has been calculated to be just over 24 hectares, and the total area of forestry within the damaged area is estimated to be 12 hectares. This comprises of land held in 7 privately owned forestry contracts. The affected area is associated with 20 landowners, or BPS claimants, 19 of which have an affected area that exceeds 50 metres squared. 6 of the 7 forestry contracts have an affected area exceeding 50 metres squared as well. A report prepared by RPS Group Consultants for the Department of Culture, Heritage and the Gaeltacht estimated a total deposited amount of 160,000 cubic metres, or 160,000 tonnes, which is present at varying depths of up to 2 metres in the overspill areas. The costs associated with removal of the overspill material would run to more than €20 million. In addition, the removal of the peat from the affected area could create significant environmental issues, particularly in relation to water quality and aquatic life in the Defahar River and Loch Allen. In relation to the scheme eligibility for the overspill areas and agricultural land, these areas have remained eligible for payment under the basic payment scheme, as you mentioned, and other schemes as administered by my department, as the applicants have been able to avail of the provisions of force majeure for the years 2020, 21 and 22. And this means that I've been able to protect these farmers' crucial payments in these years. And the matter is under review now for the year ahead. Following extensive consultation with various stakeholders, a proposal for compensation was drafted. The proposal contains several measures to deal with the impact of the landslide and has been submitted to the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform for sanction, which is required for funding in respect of the agreed package of measures. We are engaging with the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform in relation to the proposal. An announcement will be made, I hope, shortly in relation to the package of measures. As I said, Deputy Harkin, like yourself, it's a process I want to bring to a conclusion promptly in order to bring peace of mind to the landowners who are in this situation through no fault of their own, and indeed to follow through in the commitments which myself and Minister of State Noonan provided when we visited there last November. Thanks.
Minister, to be honest with you, perhaps it's my naivety, but I really did think when I came in here this evening that you would be able to say that there was a package in place and it was agreed, because I can't remember exactly the wording that you used the last time I brought this issue up with you on the floor of the House, but I do think that phrase was used before, in due course. And that could have been 6-9 months ago, because the last time I brought it up, Minister Fleming took the question, not yourself. And I explained how disappointed I was then. I mean, really, you and I know, Minister, this has gone on far too long. What does in due course mean? What can I say? What can you say to these farmers who are waiting and waiting and waiting? Are we talking about a month? Are we talking about 2 months? Can you guarantee that this will be done and dusted before the end of the year even? I mean, you know, is that possible? This happened in 2020. Will there be compensation before 2023? Could we even guarantee that today, that package would be there? And also one other point, you talked about their payments, their farm payments, that it would be kept under review for 2023. I mean, what does that mean? Can you tell me how one, let's say if there was a compensation package, how that might interact with their farm payments? So I'm just... Look, I'm not just disappointed, honestly. I can't believe that it's not completed. And I know a lot of people have worked hard on this, and you mentioned a number of local councillors and others. But I can't know what the delay is, Minister. I just can't. And maybe you can tell me, and you can tell those landowners. Maybe there's too few of them. Maybe it's not important enough. Maybe, as I said, they didn't march and shout. But God, Minister, it needs to be done.
No, they are important, Deputy Harkin, and they do count. And that's why both myself and Minister of State Noonan travelled down and met with the farmers directly. And we did make a commitment to them that we were going to work to put a package together. I had hoped to have it concluded by this stage, but we do have the outline of the package very clear. I'm engaged with, my officials are engaged with the Minister and the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform at the moment with regard to getting approval for that, and hopeful of getting approval and hoping to do that soon. And I certainly hope to have this concluded by the end of the year. I can't give a clear guarantee as to when that will be, because it's subject to agreement between my department and the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform. But we are fully committed to following through on the commitment we give to the farmers concerned, to bringing this to a definitive conclusion. We know the very clear outline of what that package which we're putting together is. I hope to get agreement between my department and the Department of Public Expenditure and Reform on that soon. We want a situation which is going to bring a permanent outcome and a permanent peace of mind to the farmers concerned. There isn't a need for farmers to march or to protest in this, because we are absolutely committed to following through in the commitment we've given. It's taken a bit longer than what we'd hoped, but we will bring it to a final conclusion, and one that brings peace of mind to the farmers concerned. It's been quite a traumatic event what's happened to this local community. It has affected the long-term capacity of all of those landowners affected to be able to use this land for agricultural purposes into the future. To say the cost of actually moving in and actually clearing it would be €20 million, simply unfeasible, as indeed biologically dangerous as well, given the potential impact on water courses and on the environment. So it's important we bring a package which actually recognises the long-term impact on farming communities and on the local community, and we are expediting this, and I hope to have it resolved shortly.